Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this regular meeting of the Temple City Council for Thursday, December the 6th. If you'll please rise, Father Tom Chamberlain will lead us in an invocation, and then Judge Burrows will lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Judge? Father Tom?
Let us pray. O God, our Heavenly Father, all authority comes from you. We pray for these men and women who are called to be leaders in our community and our city council, that you will help them in this meeting today in the matters that are presented to them. Grant them wisdom and knowledge, understanding, prudence, and courage in making good decisions that will be for the benefit of our community, and that all will be done for your honor and for your glory. And all of this we pray in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Father Tom, for that prayer. Again, welcome everyone. We have a full agenda this evening and a full room. It's great to see everyone here. Thanks for taking the time to be with us. First item on our agenda is a special presentation from Bell County Judge John Burrows and Sharon Long, our tax assessor collector, and they will make a presentation of the child safety funds collected in the amount of $78,713.68.
That's great. As you recall, back in, 2001?
2001.
We passed a ordinance allowing the collection of $1.50 per vehicle for a child safety registration fee, and the county collects it, the county administers it, and we just bring you a check.
We love it.
And certain things you can use this for, the statutory required to enhance child safety and health, including child abuse prevention and drug and alcohol abuse. And I know that y'all use it for an appropriate purpose. And the check this year is $78,713.68. But since the inception of this program, we have distributed $810,069.07 to the city of Temple on that. And we're pleased to do so. And I always take this opportunity when I'm here to remind the new members of the council, or maybe some of the old, that Bell County, as part of our partnership with the city, is our communications center. We're still a leader in communications, and people come out on a regular basis to see how do you do that, how do you work together. And Bell County, as an entity, believes so much in that center that it funds the first 50% of it, and the rest of it is divided upon usage. An example of how this benefits the Temple: if the budget was based upon actual usage, the Temple's allocation would be $1,436,774. However, since we paid the first half of that, your allocation is $718,000. Now, the difference on that is 2.21 cents on the tax rate of the citizens of Temple. And so we're happy to do that, and we're happy to be partners with the city of Temple. As you know, I'm not authorized to get anywhere near money, but Sharon is.
We don't know. I haven't had a check, so.
Right. So Sharon, you'll say comment or two. She has the funds.
I do have the funds. It's just my pleasure again this year to present this check to you. I just, always like to thank my employees for the work that they do for not only me, but for the citizens of Bell County. So, thank you.
If you could hold it until Thursday, it sure would help.
Like the county, it's best if you just give it directly to the treasurer. Thank you, Sharon. Judge, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And the Bell County Communications Center is one very good example, but only one example of the many things that we do together with the county and the things that we look to the county for. So thank you, and again, appreciation for the vote this week on the participation in the extension of the reinvestment zone. Thank you to you and the commission for that work, and appreciate it very much. Next item on the agenda is presentation of the Corporate Challenge Game Awards. Mr. Skora.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. I'd like Chuck Ram and Tracy Kosachek to join me. They served as the co-chairs on this event and led the way of a lot of people who did a lot of work, and they can help with presentations. Corporate Challenge was a new program that was instituted this year. It was done for many years by the Chamber of Commerce, and there has been kind of a lag since 2002 when we haven't had corporate games. And the Mayor's Council on Fitness took it upon themselves this year to try to revive it, and I think they did a very good job. We were sort of hoping when we kicked off the event that we might get a half a dozen companies. Well, we had 19 take part and 998 individuals, so it was very successful. And a lot of that credit and a lot of that work goes to the committee who worked extremely hard, and I'd like to read their names. Besides Chuck and Tracy, the mayor served on it, Dr. Mark Smith from Temple College, Kerry Coleman, Carlos Gomez, Alex Heisinger, Angela McGahey, Tammy Newton, and Jan Powell from Scott & White, and James Roberts, our golf course manager, served on it from the city of Temple. What we want to do tonight is to present the winners, the 3 division winners. It was broken down into categories by population size or number of employees people had, and I'll read those names, and the winners can come up, and Tracy and Chuck will present them with their award. The first one is Division 1. We had 6 companies in there, and the size of the number of employees there was from 1 to 150. Third place was Harvest Technologies. Second place was Centrifugal Castings, and the winner was Materials Transportation Company. And Bill Warren and Dana Owens, if they'll come up, get their award.
Congratulations.
Division 2 was 151 to 700 employees. We had 10 companies take part, and I'm told this was the real cutthroat division. This is where all the dogfights took part. Third place, and these points range from third place of 100 to 124 for first, so you can see it's pretty close. Third place was Acer. Second place was Parent Specialists Incorporated, and first place was PDI. And if Terry Anderson and Paula Kuntai can come up. And largest division, Division 3, was 701 employees and on up. 3 companies took part, and third place was McLean Southwest, second place was the City of Temple, and the winner was Scott & White Healthcare and Carlos Gomez, if he'll come up.
Great. Congratulations.
Again, I think the event was extremely successful. I know the committee has already met and made recommendations for next year, and they're getting feedback from the different companies, and we're looking forward to it next fall. Thank you.
Thank you a lot, Ken. Tracy and Chuck, thanks a lot for the great work, and it was fun to be on the committee and see Corporate Challenge revived in Temple, and so congratulations and thanks. Next is to recognize Scott & White Health Plan for their sponsorship of Hot Summer Sounds and other events, and so many other things. So, Ken, back up.
Mayor, if you'll join us, and maybe Doug Smith, our board chair, is here. Maybe he can join you to this presentation. Sorry. We are extremely pleased to be able to make this presentation tonight, and the mayor hit the nail on the head when he said, and other things. We brought them here mainly on the pretense of their contribution for Hot Summer Sounds, but there's many other things that the health plan has sponsored us with. They've been a very, very large partner for our department. A lot of activities we would not be able to do if it wasn't for them, and I'll go through that briefly for you. They were the title sponsor for Hot Summer Sounds. This is our longest-running special event that we started 14 years ago. It's an eight-week summer musical series held at Miller Park. Each concert draws hundreds of people, and we try to bring out the best musicians we can locally and from out of the area, and I think everybody's been real pleased with the music. Scott, the health plan has been the title sponsor for the past 6 years, and without a doubt, we would not be able to do that without their support. But they do a lot of other things. They've been the title sponsor for the Mayor's Fitness Council Corporate Luncheon. It's a luncheon we hold every year. We've held for the past 2 years at the Neighborhood Center, where we bring grade school kids together for some activities. And then we have a corporate luncheon where we invite the businesses in town to come and learn how they can start wellness programs. It generally draws over 100. We've brought a speaker in from the Cooper Institute. And that we think has been very successful. We'll be doing our third one this May. They're a sponsor of the Temple Trailblazers walking program, where we encourage people to walk all the trails in the community, and that draws over 200 people for each year we've done that. They've also sponsored at the Senior Citizen Center bingo suppers annually. They're a sponsor of the Christmas Sharing Dinner, which is coming up next week, and we attract about 600 seniors to that luncheon. And they even give prizes that we can give our seniors when they re-up their registration, so we know their emergency phone numbers at the senior center. Not only that, we're very lucky to some of their staff, and Alan's going to probably come up here in a minute and say a few words, but Ian Goodman and others from the health plan have served on our various committees, and they're very supportive when we need their help. And for that, Alan would like you to come up, Alan Einbode, and receive the plaque from the mayor.
Oh, yeah, and by the way, they are the #1 health plan in the state of Texas.
And Alan, before we do that, the staff put together a little book which we think we'd like you to have. It shows pretty well, we think, the event and what occurred out there this past year.
Oh, how nice of you. Thank you. Well, I wanted to, the health plan brought a whole herd of people, so you're wondering why are all these people here. So I wanted them to be able to stand up just so they could thank you for the recognition. If the health plan staff would stand up. We're representing over 500 of our employees that work very hard to make the organization successful, and we can't do all the things we do without all their help, so thank you very much.
Thanks to all of you for being here, and thanks for all the work you do for our community. Next item on the agenda is to receive the 2012 annual report from the Temple Economic Development Corporation. Mr. Lee Peterson, the president of TEDC, is here this evening to make that report. Welcome, sir.
Mayor Jones, Mayor Pro Tem Dunn, Councilman McLeod, Councilman Snyder, Councilwoman Morales, and staff, I'm pleased to be here. Would like to take, and by the way, I've been waiting to say this all day, so I have like a report that's in your packet. Blackburn says that like 15 times every meeting, but the report I'm going to give you hopefully got put in your packet. I'd like to take just a minute and introduce my unbelievable staff. Charlie Rose is, stand up. Our Vice President of Business Development. Elizabeth Carlton is our Director of Marketing, and Bridget Hines is our Project Manager and Researcher and does almost everything. Also, Board of Directors. I don't know that we have anybody in the audience, but we have Mr. Blackburn, Mayor Jones, Danny, and you're off now finally for the first time after 7 or 8 years. But thank you for your service as board members. We appreciate it. The reason I start with this is the job that we perform is the biggest team sport there is. Economic development requires everyone to help in order to grow the community and grow the economy. So without all the help we get from everyone, we just would not be able to do the things that we do. I'm going to talk about some things tonight about projects and other things, and you all need to realize that there were lots of folks who were involved in making those things happen. Our wonderful friends over at the county helping us occasionally with tax abatements. You can just name an awful lot of folks that have been involved in our development program. And so hopefully, got my own clicker, so it worked. Yeah, thank you. We have listed a few of those. Our board of directors, Temple City Council and staff, and the city staff is very often at times, just like they work for us, continually helping us move things along in a consistent basis. The reinvestment zone is a magnificent partner for us to have. They have a little money they allow us to use to build roads and sewer and water and other things really are help. The Temple Industrial Foundation, the Temple Health and Bioscience District, Temple College, TISD, BISD, the Chamber of Commerce, Bell County Commissioners, Central Texas Workforce Solutions, and the Office of the Governor, Texas One. We work with those people continuously. Looking back at 2012, we've been through an interesting financial time. The wonderful thing about Texas and Temple in particular is that although it was extremely difficult, we've come through, or at least are beginning to emerge from that financial crisis and seeing lots of good things. So we look at the average earnings comparison, and David, the average earnings is the average of your salary where you work, not where you live. So that's a new number that we have not used before. If you will look at that, you will see that Bell County as a whole is the MSA, about $44,400, and Temple itself about $52,900. We had a nice population increase in the last 10 years. We continue to grow and be a community that people want to live in. Our unemployment rate, as you can see, the national rate, 8.34%, Texas 7.16%, and Temple 2 points below the national unemployment level, and after a little more than a point below Texas. So we've done good. Housing starts, part of this whole economic crisis we've been through is a housing situation, and you can see that in 2011 we built 356 homes. In 2012 we built 395, so we're beginning to move in that direction. In 2011, our property values were down about 0.5%. In 2012, they're up 3.4%, so we're starting to move those property values up as well. This slide, perhaps, is the most important slide I have in this packet. Once upon a time, people started talking about something called the American Dream. And the American Dream is that you can have a car, you can have a house, you can raise a family, you can have a nice life. That dream has not always been possible in certain areas of the country. It has a tremendous amount to do with what it costs you to live your life. It's a very interesting slide. In Temple, Texas, the cost of living is $87.9. The United States is 100. In Chicago, Illinois, it's 156.5. In San Jose, California, it's 116.2. So the fact that we have reasonable housing costs, reasonable transportation costs, and nobody's going to agree with this one, very reasonable grocery costs, makes Temple, Texas a very cost-effective place to live where you can have a job and a very, very nice life. We did a few projects in 2012, and although we finished Panda Temple 1 in 2012, we started Panda Temple 1 in 2006. So between 2006 and 2012, everyone thought I was telling them a story. I don't know if you've been around economic development much, but a lot of things occur that nothing really happens. This is one of the biggest projects Central Texas will ever see. We worked on it for a long time. Our partners here at the city with water agreements and easement agreements and a variety of other things in order to make this project happen. construction out there right now, about 400 people working on a daily basis, getting Panda Temple 1 in place for finishing in about 22 months, I think. There is a lot of work going on for the second stage of that, and that's moving down the road as well. The investment in this facility will be somewhat over $750 million. So it's tremendously important. Looks like about $1.5 billion to our economy in a 10-year period of time. Won't be a lot of jobs at the end, will be a tremendous investment. Another project that we worked on very hard, again in consortium with the City of Temple, is Spare Time Family Entertainment Center. For those of you who don't know, Spare Time will be located at Loop 205 and Highway 2305, and will be a full family entertainment center. I talked with the owner today, and their intention is to be open in March. Wouldn't say whether it was the 1st of March or the last of March, but sometime in March they will actually kick that off, and we will have a new entertainment venue in Temple, which, for those of us who work in trying to make it a better place, was one of the 3 top things that the people in the community wanted, so we're very pleased with that. A little project called Tin Knocker Sheet Metal, a company that lost its building because of the I-35 expansion, going to locate on 7.5 acres out in the industrial park. And the investment is $531,000. That doesn't seem a lot compared to other things, but little projects are extremely important to us, sometimes just as important as big ones. Johnson Brothers Ford, I think they moved cars over the weekend and are actually in business out there, making that thing run. Gateway Center is the former Outdoor America Mall or the Ancira Mall. There will be a $6 million new retail client located in that facility, and there will be a variety of upgrades for about $1.8 million in the mall. Did we have a total in that behind Tracy's head? $776 million investment in 2012. This is really the part of us that's much different than lots of other things. And again, for those of you who don't know, we spend all of our time out telling the Temple story to companies we hope will take time to take a look at us and perhaps choose us as a location. In order to try to do that last year, we completely rebuilt our website, which is the marketing tool of the day. I asked Elizabeth yesterday, what kind of a packet do we have to give people? We used to have a big bulky packet with 73 different things in it. She handed me one brochure and said, give them this and tell them to get on the website. So that's kind of what we do now. But our website has been completely redone and actually won an award from the International Economic Development Council for its mobile app, so you can get the website on your phone. We also completed a new target industry and marketing plan so that we know that the money that you allow us to use, we're using it for the right purpose. We're using it to the very best of our ability to try to attract those industries that create a better environment for Temple, higher paying jobs, better opportunities, and companies that can actually work here. So we work very, very hard in the marketing program to try and get people to look at Temple. Just a few of the places we go. We spend a lot of time at trade shows talking to people about Temple all over the United States. We do a variety of those in Temple as well. We did something new last year called the San Jose Recruitment Mission. Some of the people sitting up in the front accompanied us on that mission. We visited 9 companies, talked to them about doing business in Temple, Texas, and we are following up with those as we speak. We spend a lot of our life working with people called site selectors, and site selectors are people who choose locations for companies. I think about the Carter family and their investment of $775 million in Temple, Texas, and I'm here to tell you that people that don't know your community and know that your community will be a partner with them as you continue the process are not going to put their business in your community. So it's extremely important that we build strong relationships with those people, and that's the way we eventually get projects to happen. With all the work we do, we always try to figure out where is it we're getting the most bang for our buck. And so if you just take a minute and look at the slide, the World Economic Development Alliance provides us about 5% of our leads. That's an association group that we belong to. I can't see that far. Cold calls are about 10%, and cold calls we kind of talk like those are the people who actually walk through our door and begin to talk with us about doing something in Temple. So about 10% of our clients come from those. We get about 13% from the governor's office in Texas One, which is a statewide marketing group that we're very involved in and go to site selector events and other things. Local expansions in Temple have been our bread and butter. There's a slide later in the program that I'll show you about what's going to happen in the next few years, but about 16% of our deals come from expansions of local companies. Site selectors about 23%, the blue piece, and our actual outreach work about 33%. So we keep track of that so we know that the money we're spending is making sense for everybody. We created a new business retention and expansion program last year. The saying in our business goes that about 80% of the jobs created will be created by expansion of existing companies. And so in order to make that happen, you need to make sure that existing companies are doing well. And if they have an issue, like they need a more skilled workforce, you need to get in there and actually help them train that workforce. And so we stayed very close to our existing companies, trying to help them in any way that we can to make them more competitive. We are competitive now in the entire world. We are not competitive with the state of Louisiana or the state of Minnesota, but we are competing against China and Mexico and everybody else that's out there. So keeping in touch with your local business is extremely important. We've created a survey now that we actually know what the issues are, and hopefully as we move down the road we can begin to begin to address those. We have quarterly forums that we ask our existing business to come to, very informative for them. We also have an annual industry appreciation luncheon where we try to have some really good economists come and tell us what's going to happen. None of them have got it right yet, but we're going to continue to try. We chose 3 companies to provide awards to: the expansion project of the year, which is our friends at the HEB Retail Support Center out on Winland Road. There's an interesting thing that happens in this business. So we did a project with HEB, and they were going to build 450,000 square feet, and we're going to create 124 jobs. And then we did another project with them, and they did about 300,000 square feet. Does anybody remember that number? I've lost it. And we were going to create about 40 jobs with that. So if you add those up, that's like 160 people. Charlie was out there doing his expansion survey the other day. They have 500. So sometimes people actually do more than they say, and that's very important to us. We gave an award for excellence in the workforce to Scott and White Hospital, who employed 850 people working with Central Texas Workforce. And a corporate partner of the year went to Mars Pet Care for their work in providing pet food for the animal shelter. Also, all the volunteer work of their associates at Mars Pet Care, and for assisting, I think, with the dog park in Temple. So, some kind of surprising factors to me, at least, when we look at where our companies sell their products. It's very interesting. About 18%, Tracy, if I shoot you, I'm sorry. About 18%, I need to be really nice to her, too. About 18% of our companies are companies that sell their products regionally, which we kind of say is Texas and close around us. About 41% of our companies sell their products nationally. And a like number, 41%, sell their products internationally. So when we talk about a flat world, we're in a flat world when 41% of the products manufactured in Temple, Texas are going to an international market. The slide I told you about earlier that's extremely interesting. So for the 2012 survey, expansion plans for the current existing companies in the next 3 years, almost 54% of them say they're going to expand. Of that 54%, 73% will do their expansion in Temple, Texas. The reason the other folks won't is because they have a variety of facilities around the country, and they need to expand those facilities in that region. We've kind of entered a new realm of retail. We worked a little bit with the Kohl's folks. We worked a little with Bob Mills. We worked a little with, what's the grocery store? Help me. Natural Grocers, I got it. So we're kind of trying to see if there's a way that we can stimulate retail business in Temple, because we all hear we need more and better retail, so we're moving in that direction on a continuous basis. This is just a snapshot of the sales tax showing that in 2009 it was off 1%, in 2010 it was off another percent, in 11 went up 6%, and in 12 it was up about 5.24%. So sales tax is growing with an 18% population growth. Our sales tax should grow anyway. Very often we all go to seminars and do things that the moderator will say, well, if money didn't mean anything, what would you do? My answer to that is this. A vision without resources is a hallucination. I want to thank you all for the money that you provide for us to allow us to do the job we do for you. I would be more than pleased to answer any questions I could answer for you, although you all know more about TEDC than I do. I would be more than happy to answer questions. Thank you for your support and your help. I guess we'll be back next year.
One thing I was hoping you'd point out in here, but you're going to give me the opportunity to do that, and that's that TEDC is now one of 32 economic development entities in the United States that are accredited, and that was just a designation that was recently given to the Temple Economic Development Corporation. And so congratulations to you and your entire team on receiving that recognition, and the hard work that's gone into that over a long period of time for us to be able to achieve that is significant. But thanks to each and every one of you, and that is very significant for us to have that designation. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to my staff for getting that done, and we'll have that in our next year's report.
Good deal. All right. Thank you. Any other comments or questions from council? Great. Good job, Lee. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is an opportunity for public comment. Citizens who desire to address the council on any item may sign up to do so prior to the meeting. Public comments will be received during this portion of the meeting, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. No discussion or final action will be taken as a result of your comments at this particular time. We have one individual signed up to speak, Mr. Victor Pendleton. Mr. Pendleton? And this item is posted for a public hearing when we have this item, and if you want to wait until we do that, okay, thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All items listed under this section, consent, are considered to be routine by the City Council and may be enacted by one motion. If discussion is desired by the council, any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member, and it will be considered separately. This is items 7A through U. Council, are there any items that need to be removed for presentation, question, or for voting purposes? And if not, I'll entertain a motion for items under the consent agenda 7A through U.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda. If there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Cloud.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Dunn.
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider.
Aye.
Councilmember Morales. Aye. Mayor Jones.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is item 8, and it's the first reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance amending Article 7, the regulation of smoking in public places in Chapter 16, the health and sanitation of the City Code, to prohibit smoking in public areas of bowling alleys, indoor entertainment facilities, and in city parks, to exempt businesses with alcohol sales representing more than 50% of gross receipts, and to prohibit the owner or operator of a hotel or motel from designating more than 25% of rooms available for rent as smoking rooms. Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I've got a short presentation to kind of explain these changes. This is an amendment of the city's smoking ordinance on first reading. It will require public hearing. Just kind of some quick background. And really, before 1989, we had no regulation of smoking as a city, so most regulation was done by private property owners. In 1989, the city adopted our first smoking ordinance, and it's kind of typical of ordinances of that time. It really relied still a lot on property owners to determine what areas they were going to designate for smoking and non-smoking. It did require the posting of signs, and there had to be some area designated for not smoking within those areas. Go ahead. In 2006, we had our first really significant amendment of that ordinance. It was kind of a project that, again, came out of some public comments and an appearance by the Bell County Medical Society. The council formed a working group, or staff did, and we had representatives from the Temple Restaurant Association, the Medical Society, the Texas Department of Health Services, and we studied state and national ordinances and trends, and we looked at ordinances like the City of Waco, which in turn was a model on some other model ordinances, and we basically built what is now the current ordinance. And I think in the next few slides we'll kind of outline what that is. Just recently, though, we had a visit by representatives from the Mayor's Committee on Fitness, who were here earlier this evening for some of that, and I know Mark Smith is here, and maybe possibly other members of that committee. And they, at a workshop 2 meetings ago, I think it was, asked the City Council to consider several amendments to the current ordinance, and principally those were to prohibit smoking in bowling alleys and entertainment centers and in all city parks, and to limit smoking in hotel and motel rooms to no more than 25% of the rooms available to the public, and change one of the exemptions from the current ordinance for prohibitions against smoking. One of the exemptions is for places that sell alcohol. In the current ordinance, it's for businesses that more than 45% of their sales are from alcohol, and they ask that we increase that to 50%. So I think in the next couple of slides I want to show you the ordinance you have before you does address those concerns. This is a quick slide that kind of shows what the current ordinance does. It's got basically two elements. One is it lists the areas where smoking is prohibited, and I won't read all of those, but it's tell you that it's most common areas of both public and private buildings that are open to the public, that don't have separate ventilation systems, because that is one area that's accepted, but it's most common areas that are open to the public. It's prohibited. The next slide shows the change being proposed, and that is to the left, public parks, with the exception of the Salmons Golf Course. In our workshop that followed 2 weeks after the presentation, some of the discussion that was had by the council was to maybe consider excluding the Salmons Golf Course from that. So that's the way I presented it to you. So that change to where smoking would be prohibited would add public parks to that list. The next slide shows where smoking is allowed, and again, I won't try to read all of those, but it lists all of the places that are excluded. So you've got things on there like private residences, tobacco shops, businesses that have more than 45% of their sales from alcohol, and so on. And the next slide shows what the proposed changes to those would be, and it would eliminate bowling alleys and entertainment centers, would change the percentage for businesses selling alcohol from 45 to 50%. And so those are the major changes proposed in the ordinance. Next slide, please. Take any questions you have, and as I said, Mark Smith is here, and we certainly appreciate the work done by the Mayor's Committee on Fitness, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Council, any questions or comments regarding the presentation and the change to the ordinance?
I just have a couple of questions. One on the, if you go back to that other slide, regarding the locations, bingo parlors
Yes.
where smoking is allowed, what would be the difference in any entertainment center?
Well, there's the definition in the ordinance about entertainment centers would includes things like arcade, the new arcade, or the bowling alley center. If something was similar to that just had indoor recreation. There's a definition, though, in the ordinance of bingo centers, and that was a policy decision made by the council at that time, and it isn't a complete allowance for bingo parlors. It does require that they have separate areas, a certain percentage of the area, and so I've got it simplified there as it's allowed in all bingo shops or centers, but there are some rules that apply to it.
The other question was, how would we enforce this in the public parks?
Well, one way to do it would be to, just like any other business, is just post signs at those. And I think over a period of time, Ken and his folks would alert somebody if they fail to see the signs or if there's an event. And, I would imagine that if there are, parks where we have active recreational facilities like ballparks and things like that, they'll have signs right there. But in others, maybe just at the entrance to that, and a sign, and it allows a police officer, if called because somebody refused to comply with it, to actually, issue a citation if they wouldn't stop smoking.
So it'd be more reactive.
Right.
Any other comments or questions? This item requires a public hearing. I'll declare the public hearing open for this first reading. Anyone wishing to speak before the council on this item, please come forward and state your name and address for the record prior to making your comments. Yes, ma'am?
My name is Mary Davila. This summer, I went to see my grown son and play softball, and I was quickly reminded why I stopped, because of the smoke. I went to all different kind of places to try to get away from it, and I couldn't, and I left tasting the smoke. And my grandson was there also, and I'm going to leave this with you. It is from the National Cancer Institute on secondhand smoke and what we inhale and there's the chemicals that we get from smoking, the other people smoking secondhand smoke, which I am in favor of in the ballparks because I try to get away from it, and I know other people do also, so I kind of speak for some other people also. I can't see very good with my glasses. Anyway, there's 69 toxic chemicals in secondhand smoke that are proven to cause cancer, and I support this, and I'll help in any way I can.
Thank you.
Thank you for considering it. I just read about it in the paper yesterday, so I would have had more.
Thank you for taking the time to come and speak with us this evening. Anyone else? Mr. Pendleton?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Victor Pendleton, and I'm in support of the ordinance. I know that there was a presentation done to you or given to you by Mark Smith that had a lot of real good information. I just brought some information that I thought would sort of support some of the stuff that you already heard. This is taken from an article in Science Daily where they talk about, the title is Smoke-Free Laws Led Quickly to Fewer Hospitalizations. And it goes on to read that smoke-free legislation was associated with substantially fewer hospitalizations and deaths from heart and respiratory diseases, according to research in the American Heart Association journal Circulation. Researchers reviewed 45 studies covering 33 smoke-free laws at local and state levels around the United States and other countries, and they found that comprehensive smoke-free laws were associated with a rapid 15% decrease in heart attack hospitalizations and 16% decrease in stroke hospitalizations. Smoke-free laws were also rapidly followed by a 24% decrease in hospitalizations for respiratory diseases, including asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And most comprehensive laws, those covering workplaces, restaurants, and bars, resulted in the highest health benefits. The findings from this study support the American Heart Association's position that smoke-free laws should be comprehensive and apply to all workplaces and public environments, including restaurants, bars, and casinos. And the analysis is also consistent with other studies that have found smoke-free laws were followed by significant decreases in acute heart attack and other cardiac-related hospital admissions. So in sitting here and listening to the development plans of our city, the economic development, and also the child safety and health topic that was discussed earlier, it seems like this ordinance and this legislation would be really consistent with the goals that we seem to have. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Penner. Would you just tell us your address and that for the record? I'm sorry. Your address?
Oh,
Just,
yes.
you can speak into the mic for us. Yeah, that's okay. Excuse me.
5415 Southern Crossing Drive in Temple. Okay?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Anyone else wishing to speak for the council? Mr. Smith?
I'm Doug Smith. My address is 18 West Upshaw, and I'm also here to voice support for this ordinance. Dr. Smith presented this to the Parks and Rec Board, which I'm chair, a couple of months ago, and went over the different things, and I'm here to support it. I think it's a good idea. We're promoting health and wellness. We're building parks and trails, and the way it was presented is a little convoluted. You can smoke here, but you can't smoke here. You can smoke inside a swimming pool, but you can't smoke. Or you can't smoke inside the pool, but you can outside the pool. So, I just think that the ban with the as it's presented is a good plan, and I support it. And I would ask you to do the same.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Dr. Smith?
Mayor, council members, city staff, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you tonight. I am Mark Smith. My address is in Belton. Does that matter?
You just stated for the record.
I live at 1511 Loving Trail in Belton. I do chair a subcommittee for the Mayor Fitness Council on the smoking ordinance, and we've done a lot of research in the areas, and we've heard a lot of folks talk tonight about the benefits of strengthening our Temple smoking ordinance, and that's what the purpose of this is. It's not an all-out ban against smoking. It's strengthening the existing ordinance. It was a very incremental process that we took. One of the things behind it was, back in 2011, the Heart and Stroke Healthy City Recognition Program awarded City of Temple a silver award for the improvements that they've been making across the board. And one of those indicators, there are 10 indicators, and one of those indicators deals with, and it talks about it, controlling or the control of tobacco. And when you look at those indicators, one of those areas, well, before I actually get to that, the award of the silver award came about where City of Temple got an 86.5 out of a possible 104 points. To get a gold, you needed at least a 90. And so the City of Temple fell about 3.5 points short. One of those areas, the Comprehensive Tobacco Control Initiative, is where the City of Temple only were awarded 3 out of 12 possible points. Another area was the Healthy Food Options, which is another initiative that we're working under the Mayor's Fitness Council, where we got 7 out of 10 points. We believe that this incremental strengthening of this tobacco ordinance will also bring further recognition to what the City of Temple is doing as far as Parks and Leisure, creating a more healthy environment. It's one of the reasons that I joined the Mayor's Fitness Council, was because of what I saw in what the City of Temple is doing as far as health and fitness. And so that was one of the side benefits of working on this. The other, obviously, is the health benefits for everybody, especially our kids. And when you look at a lot of the data that we've seen, secondhand smoke is one of the worst offenders. And our kids, if parents smoke and they're smoking on the way to school, taking their kids to school or whatever, the kids are trapped inside a vehicle where they have to breathe the smoke. They don't have a choice. And in other areas as well. And so that's one of the prime thrusts for why we brought this forth. Any questions? Thank you all for your time, and we appreciate you taking up this initiative for us.
Thank you for your leadership in helping to craft this ordinance revision and for bringing the committee together and bringing it to us.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks very much, Dr. Smith. Anyone else wishing to speak before the council? Seeing no one else wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Council, your pleasure on the first reading of the amendment to the ordinance regarding smoking.
I move for approval of the regulations of smoking in public places.
Have a motion and a second. Further comment? There being none, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Cloud?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Dunn?
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider?
Aye.
Councilmember Morales?
Aye.
Aye. Item 9, and thanks to all those that are here this evening that made comments. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. Thank you very much. Item 9, two parts. 9A is a second reading to consider adopting an ordinance designating a tract of land consisting of approximately 11.444 acres located at the southern end of Panda Drive, Temple, Texas, as City of Temple Tax Abatement Reinvestment Zone Number 25 for commercial industrial tax abatement. And item 9B is to consider adopting a resolution authorizing a tax abatement agreement with Panda Temple Power 2 LLC covering increases in the taxable value of real property for an 11.444 acre tract of land, tax abatement reinvestment zone number 25 in the Southeast Industrial Park, south of Lorraine Drive. Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. These two items are companion items. I'm not going to spend a lot of I'm not going to go through that PowerPoint for the reinvestment zone on second reading. We have it on the agenda just because your approval of that makes the second item possible, but you've already conducted a public hearing on that. That ordinance will create our 25th tax abatement reinvestment zone, and we do recommend your approval of that. What I do want to spend some time on is the second item, which is your consideration of a resolution that will bring this process that Lee talked about a minute ago, this 3 or 4 year, however long it's been, maybe longer, process of bringing the Panda Temple Power Project to Temple. And the item that you have for consideration at your last meeting, you approved the affluent agreement. This resolution tonight will approve a agreement to grant them 10-year tax abatement, and want to give you some background information on that. It is the second phase of their project for Panda Temple Power 2. It is like the first item. It's a high-efficiency gas-fired turbine-powered power plant. What they're doing is adding a second block in a 2-for-1 configuration that will effectively double the capacity of the plant that's currently under operation, which is phase 1. On the same agenda, the first item A that I just referred to, you're approving a tax abatement agreement, reinvestment zone, as part of that, and this item would approve the agreement that goes with that, and it is for a 10-year declining percentage tax abatement. We would start out with, in years 1 through 5, 65% tax abatement on the increased value of just real property, and then that would decline in the last 6 years, 55, 45, 35, 15, and 12. And those numbers may look somewhat arbitrary, but I assure you that Tracy has worked very hard to do a calculation. What we were trying to do is give them a little more tax abatement up front to kind of help them with their financing this project. But those numbers are structured in a way that it is the numerical equivalent of the deal that you approved for phase 1, which was a straight line 50% tax abatement for 10 years. So if you look at it, that stream of tax abatements that they will receive, and you present value those, it works out the same as if we had done straight for 10 years, 50%. So it's the same kind of deal. The standard, in all the other respects, the tax abatement agreement includes all other requirements of state law. There are requirements, for example, about recapture provisions for the taxes if they don't comply with the terms of the agreement. We provided statutory notice of both the tax abatement reinvestment zone and this agreement to all the other taxing entities a week ago. And this project by far exceeds our requirements for tax abatement. As Lee said a minute ago, I think fair to say it's probably the largest private investment we've had in the city, probably forever private. So we do recommend your consideration and approval of this item. And if you approve it, we will be forwarding the agreement. It's executed, or it's drafted in a form that will allow all of the other taxing entities to approve it as well. I'll go through these very quickly. That's just a general map showing it's located in that yellow area, which is, most of that is what's Phase 1, all the infrastructure there, but in the center, near where that red line is coming, is Phase 2, where this new block is going in. Next slide, please. That's kind of a picture of it. Go ahead, please. And I'll take any questions you have. And John Boswell with Panda Temple Power 2, who's worked on this very hard the last 6 months or so, is here as well. We appreciate the hard work he did and hard work by TDC and Tracy and David's office as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. And welcome, Mr. Boswell. Nice to have you here with us again this evening. Council, any questions for Mr. Graham or Mr. Blackburn on this item? There being none, this is two-part item, 9A and 9B, the second reading on the ordinance designating the tract of land as a tax abatement reinvestment zone, and then item 9B, which is the authorization of a tax abatement agreement with Panda Temple Power 2. I'll entertain a motion on these items together or separately. Your pleasure, Council.
Separate.
You need two motions on this one? Okay, then let's take 9A on the ordinance designating a tract of land. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the ordinance designating the tract of land as tax abatement reinvestment zone number 25. Further discussion or comment? Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Cloud?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Dunn?
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider?
Aye.
Councilmember Morales?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. And 9B is the ordinance adopting the resolution authorizing the tax abatement agreement with Panda Temple 2 for the tax abatement reinvestment zone number 25. Entertain a motion?
Motion to second.
Motion is second for discussion. There being none, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Cloud?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Dunn?
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider?
Aye.
Councilmember Morales?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the agenda for this evening. Thank you very much for your attendance, your participation. We are adjourned.
Thanks a lot.
Anita.